right, being said that, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to come down. We have heard from various region of the Southeast Asia, isn't it? We have heard from Thailand, right, and Singapore. And now it's interesting. We're going to look into the Middle East digital scene. All right. So the title of this presentation is called Middle East Complex Border Control System. As for what we're going to look into, I'm just going to let our next speaker enlighten you. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have Matus Kapusta, our Business Unit Director of ABIS of Innovatrix, to take over. Matus, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure for me to be here. I would like to thank you to our partners from MDEC and Credentia. And also, I would like to thank you to the previous speaker for interesting presentation from CDT and Vicky related to the national ID and ID verification. In my presentation, I would like to share our experience from a little bit different perspective. In the use case that I will present, we do not have the control about the ID. When we do the border control, we are processing the people are coming to our country, and if they are not the citizens of our country, we are not the authority which is issuing the passport. So we have to process the document which were issued by another country, by the authorities where we cannot really trust. What can happen? The person can come with a different document ID, even with a changed name. And it's quite common situation that people have citizenship from 2 different countries, for example. So if we want to have the full control about who is coming to our country, we have to build our own biometric register. And in this presentation, I would like to share with you the success story from one country from the Middle East. And I am not allowed to disclose the name of the country, but I will give you some hint. So, what is the situation in our country? Right now, there is a large population of over 32 million people. And out of the 32 million, 41% of them are immigrants or descendants of immigrants. What does it mean? They are quite often traveling abroad. There is a huge pilgrim movement, especially during the Hajj week. There are around 2.5 million people coming to Mecca, and more than 1 million are foreigners. And of course, they go through the border during a very short period of time. And the country defined their vision. They call it Vision 2030, and they aim for a significant tourist growth. They would like to reach 100 million tourists a year until 2030. The Border Control Authority defined some requirements. When we came to them, they already had some legacy systems, and they were not happy with their performance. So what they wanted to achieve, and the most important, is that the system is secure and convenient. What does it mean, secure and convenient? What is important? The system is secure when we are pretty sure that if somebody is already in the database, we can use the biometrics to identify them reliably. Yeah? And convenient, we don't want to have queues at the border. So the system must be very fast, must have a short response time, because we don't want to people queue at the border control at the airport during the peak times. There was a requirement to have a face and fingerprints biometrics at the border at the same time, and the system must operate 24/7. It must be very reliable. There must be no downtime at all, because if there is a downtime, immediately either we will break the security by letting people without the real-time control to the country, or they start queuing until the system is up again. And the system must be also very scalable. Right now, the system already has more than 100 million people which are registered, and it will grow in the future. We are not removing the records from the system. And there was one special requirement by the local authorities. We must able to perform also the criminal investigation type of search requests over that database. So we must able to identify so-called latent fingerprints over the database of people who are registered in the immigration system. So how does it work at the border? First of all, we do the enrollment. So when the visitor comes to the country, we scan the passport, and or the border control authority scans the passports, captures the fingerprints, all 10 fingerprints, and face. Once there is a new visitor, actually, to speed up the process, they have different queues for recurring visitors and new visitors. When there is a new visitor coming, we do so-called biometric deduplication. So we check all 100 million records if there is no duplicate identity, because we want to prevent the situation when we have the person which went before to the country under different ID, and if it is the case, we would like to connect them together, because this might be the case sometimes. Yeah, the people can come using 2 different IDs, and it's not necessarily a fraud, but we want to know about the situation, and we want to connect those 2 identities together. What is important here, this must be done instantly, as the person is at the counter, and we have to compare 100 million records, which means 1 billion fingerprint comparisons within a few seconds. If there is a recurring visitor, we use just the 4 slap, so 4 fingers, so to speed up the process, and we do a biometric verification. There is also a criminal watch list and some background screening. For example, you can have the list of the most wanted person. You can have the list of expelled persons. There are different rules which are defined by the immigration, and you can use either biometric registers or registers of stolen IDs, for example. And based on the results of biometric and watchlist check, the person can be automatically processed and entry is allowed, or it might be invited for a secondary inspection check. We started with this project in 2018, and since then we faced some challenges, and most of them we have solved successfully, and I would like to share some experience with the challenges we have faced too. First challenge was a high peak during Hajj. The immigration authority was afraid that there will be an issue during the peak time. So what we have to do, we really had to test them with the system for a high load. One thing is to identify 100 million people, 1 to 100 million people instantly. But the second thing is do this in parallel, because the throughput of the people going through the border during the peak time is really significant. So we have to tune the system the way that it provides a fast identification, short response time, also during a very high load. I believe that we were really successful in this, and the customer is really satisfied with the performance of our solution. The second thing is quite new, and I will talk about it in the second part of the presentation, but we are processing a contactless fingerprints from e-visa. And there was a requirement that we have to match contactless fingerprints, which look a bit differently, and contact fingerprint, which were captured at the border. For this purpose, we have to adjust our algorithms. So our R&D team adjusted algorithms so it works pretty well. So the system is interoperable and can compare those fingerprints captured in a contactless way with a traditional fingerprints. Another challenge for biometric provider are children biometrics. There is no NIST benchmark which is testing the accuracy of children biometrics. The children, they have also fingerprints, of course, but what's the issue with the children fingerprints? The surface of the child's finger is smaller than the adult. Even the pattern is the same. The area is enlarging as the children is growing. So if you are comparing the fingerprint of 6-year-old to 14 years old, it will match, but only if you will enlarge the little finger or because the resolution is actually different. So we have developed the algorithm that is able to match also fingerprints of children of different age. And 24/7 on-site support. This is quite common that you have to do a 24/7 on-site support, but in this case it's different. This system is a matter of national security and is deployed in an environment which is completely cut off from the internet. There is no remote access to this system. So we have to have the crew which is on site and can intervene within 20 minutes from the time when the incident is raised on site in the operations center. So for this purpose, we had to deploy a crew which is permanently on site, and there is one person which is local and another one which is going there from our HQ for a 3-week shift. And we have to integrate criminal and civil ABs. Why this is a challenge? When you do the criminal investigation search in the ABs, different algorithm is used. This algorithm is not focused on speed, but on accuracy. And this is a long-running identification. The issue is that if there is a long-running identification on the background, it can block the requests from the border, which need to be answered immediately. So we have to develop the system which is able to process those requests in parallel. So accurate, slow requests with standard rapid responses for civil or border control identification. What benefits the project brought to the immigration? First of all, we are able to search those 100 million thumbprints and face records almost instantly. What does it mean instantly? Usually it takes 2 to 4 seconds to answer the request. And of course, we can process multiple requests in parallel at the same time at the different counters. Continuous improvement of biometric algorithm. This is very important. With the rapid development of AI and so-called deep neural networks, the algorithms are improving, especially the facial algorithms are improving by the order of magnitude within a period of 3 to 5 years. If you have a project like a border control or immigration, the span of the project can be from 5 to 10 years. So imagine that if you will purchase the algorithm at the beginning and you will not update it, after 5 or 8 years, the accuracy will be far behind what is the state-of-the-art performance of the technology providers. So it is very important to regularly update the system and deploy new up-to-date and accurate algorithms. High availability and fast disaster recovery. This is very important in case when something went wrong. What can go wrong, of course? For example, the server may fail. So the deployment is done on multiple servers, so whenever the server will fail, the system will operate without any interruption. Also, the system is deployed on 3 different sites. So even if the whole site will go down, we will still have 2 other sites which will operate. They have 3 independent databases. And for this, it's not only important to design the system well, but we have to perform a regular testing with the local crew. And last, or for this use case, it is important to have a good relationship with the customer. So our team is working close together with the team, and it helps us a lot to solve integration and support issues. And our company is not only providing a black box solution, but the whole ecosystem for immigration agency. So they can use not only ABs, but also other components, so they can build up their own system for enrollment, quality check, and biometric processing. The next part, or the extension of the solution, which was done 3 years ago, was the system for e-visa, and the system is interconnected with the border control. What was the situation with the visa in the country? There is a requirement. We want to have a biometric visa for incoming visitors. Maybe not for all of them, but for majority of them. How to do this? You can go to the embassy and enroll the fingerprints there, take the facial photo, verify identity. Okay, this works very well, it's very secure, but the issue is that this is very expensive. And this is not only very expensive for the people who are living on a remote island of Indonesia and they have to travel to Jakarta to get a visa, but also for authorities, for the embassy. So it's not a good idea, or it's quite costly to issue biometric visa on the embassy. So what is the solution here? Either there is no convenience, so we have to travel to the embassy, or no security. We fill the form via a website or smartphone, but we don't have the control over the biometrics of the person. So how to cope with the situation? Introduce remote e-visa issuance. We have seen something similar on the previous presentation. So we will use smartphone app, which is very cost efficient. It's also very inclusive, because also if somebody doesn't have a smartphone, they can use a smartphone of his friend or relative. And of course, the whole procedure is secured by biometrics. How does it work? Yeah. So we have the smartphone app, and it's something similar like we have seen before with ID verification. But in here, we scan the passport. So in the first step, we scan the passport, we read the data from the passport, we read the data also from the chip of the passport and MRZ zone. Then we ask the person to take a selfie photo and also to take a photo of the fingerprints. It's a contactless capture of the fingerprints. And then the onboarding is completed. This is how it looks from the perspective of visa application. But how does it look from the perspective of the authority? So in the first step, we process the data from the passport. We can check if the passport is not on the list of stolen passports. We can extract the photo, and we can check if the data from the passport is consistent. Then we store the selfie photo, and we use it for a facial verification. So we verify if the photo of the person matches to the passport photo. Then we store the contactless fingerprints in the ABIS, and we do the face liveness check. This is very important. We want to check if the person which is applying for a visa is the actual photo of the person, and not a screen or a printed photo. And then we check watch list. So it's always better to find out that the person is on some watch list, like for example, expelled person, when they apply for a visa, rather than at the border. The sooner we find out we don't want allow that person to enter the country, the better it is for us. And in the last step, we send approval notification, denial, or we can invite the person to the embassy for a secondary inspection. And then, of course, when the person arrives in the border, we again verify using the fingerprints and face if the person that applied for a visa is the same person as the one who came to the border. Just a short summary about what we have learned and what is important for biometrics at the border. The most important thing is that the system is reliable and the system is scalable and well supported. Another must-have is high accuracy. It's important to test the system regularly if it's accurate and fast. And it's very important to achieve this at the same time, because some system can be accurate but not fast, or not fast at the same time. Another very important option is that your system is expandable by adding new modules. So if you need something new, something to upgrade, new biometric modality, new function, for example, contactless fingerprints, it's possible. And the vendor is able to do this. And the last important thing is easiness of use. So it's not difficult to use the system. It can reduce the risk of error, and it's also important that the system is open to integration. So for example, you can provide an access to another agency in your country to the system, and they can use it for example, for identity verification of foreigners. And what's next? What we are working on right now, my colleague Mate has mentioned that the future is iris at the border control. So as of now, we are running the pilot at the border control with iris. We have right now around 12 million people registered using iris. So it's not yet widely deployed, only at some counters. And why iris? So first of all is contactless. After pandemic, this point is becoming more and more important, and iris can be captured in a contactless way. What is also nice, we can capture face and iris in a single step. If we have a proper device, we can do this in a single step, and it can speed up the whole process at the border. Iris is highly accurate. The accuracy of iris is similar to the 10 fingerprints. It's also very fast. Actually, the matching speed of the iris is more or less the same as of fingerprints, but we have only 2 eyes and not 10. So it's actually 5 times faster than fingerprints. If we are comparing, for example, 100 million records, we have only 200 million irises, but 1 billion fingerprints. And it's easy to scale. We have no problem to match 1 billion irises. It's very compact, the size of the template. And there is already established ecosystem. This is very important. You are not buying some proprietary solution which belongs to one vendor. You can already choose. Plenty of devices are on the market for iris capture. There is a NIST benchmark, which is regularly testing iris accuracy. There is a standard format for iris images. So whenever you need, you can change the provider of even of your ABIS or of the device that you have, because it's already standardized. You will not get to the trap of vendor lock. And the last project that we work there, it's not that connected to the border control. It's connected to the Vision 2030, as they call it. And we are building a city which is called NEOM. They would like to use really advanced technology here, and the goal is to have a safer and smarter cities. So we are now running pilots to use biometric for a seamless travel. for example. So you can use a public transport with your face as a ticket. You can pay in the shop using biometrics. And in general, we want to have a more secure and more convenient life in the city of the future. So thank you, and enjoy the lunch.
All right, thank you, Matus. Thank you so much. Yes.